Wood and gossip at the cheapest house in France 2025. So it's a brief look at been doing more of a cleaning up of the wood, which is a right old horrible job, but it pays dividends when you look at the quality of the wood that's revealed afterwards. Um, so while you're looking at that, I'll just tell you a little bit of what I've heard recently. So Roger came the other day and said there was loads of people the other day, obviously Parisians or whatever, visiting the house, which is only about 50 metres away from mine, and it's gone up for sale recently, and it's sold, bumped just like that. So he was laughing. He was saying the Parisians are back. It's beginning of summer, and the Parisians are looking for second homes to buy. So that one's been bought, and apparently there's another one in the town as well that's under offer. Again, it's Parisians looking for second homes, so I'm definitely in the right area. And then also, I was speaking to my neighbour that was across the way from me, who was also interested in the barn and the land, because he's currently got nowhere to park. And he had a bit of an altercation with the mayor, the new mayor, not the old. He actually ended up going to court, and he was made to not be able to park directly outside his house because it encroached. I mean, there's only possibly a tractor that passes through there once every day anyway, maximum. But he was told he couldn't park there, so now he parks on the part of the field not too far away from the house. So he was very interested in the possibility of buying the barn. And he's quite a keen market gardener as well, because he's retired. He's a retired teacher, professor. He came from Paris, and he wanted to. He's got a small plot that he market gardens on. He wanted to increase that, so the area that's there would be almost perfect for that. So I said to him, "Have you spoken with Monsieur Avis regarding the barn and that for sale?" And he said, "No." He said he hadn't contacted me at all, and he did say he would, but he hasn't contacted me at all. And I said, "Well, he offered me the barn. How much do you think for?" And my neighbour said, "Well, looking at the land and the garage, I'd have thought about €3,000." And I laughed, and I said, "No, a bit more than that." He wanted 19,000 plus euros. And he was like, "No way, no way. What's he thinking of? The price like that?" So clearly he's not going to be buying that barn. I wouldn't imagine he would be. Would he be cheeky enough to offer the barn a lesser price to the French? I don't know. But my neighbour's certainly not going to be forking out that kind of money just for a garage and a bit of land. The land itself is probably not worth more than £1,000 anyway. The plot of land that's there. To my mind, really, the garage. In my head, I always thought around about £5,000. My neighbour, who's French, clearly thought 3,000, and the guy that's trying to sell it, trying to flog it, wants upwards of 19,000 plus notaires fees, which would add another sort of 1,500 to it. So who knows what's going on there? And I haven't heard the hair of the Moroccan lady who was also trying to tote the garage and the land too. But again, if he was trying it on to see whether he could sort of do one over on a Brit, I don't know. Clearly hasn't worked, and I'm even less. I was less inclined directly after seeing the price, so I'm even less inclined now to go any further with that. I really don't need. Do I need a fourth barn? Not really. I can use one barn for a garage comfortably and with upstairs space as well. I've got another one which I could use as an atelier, a workshop, and with upstairs space as well. And I've got the third barn, which I could convert into kind of a studio, and it's got a chimney and everything else. So do I need a fourth? Not really. Am I a property tycoon? No, I'm not. So anyway, let's get back to this particular. So that's the gossip. So 2 houses sold very recently in the town. And what's going on with the neighbour trying to flog off the barn. So going back to this, really pleased with how the timber's looking. there's still possibly a few hours worth more. I'm still going to get up into the loft area and do the timbers there. But because they haven't really been attacked, this bizarre thing where there's only downstairs, the timbers downstairs have been ravaged by a woodworm. Upstairs in the loft, there's practically no damage at all. It's really just a little bit dirty. So maybe the sanding pads might be sufficient there rather than these sort of grinding discs. So I might have a try just with the sanding pad and see how that works out. And if not, I'll continue with the blue disc, which have done a sterling job. €7.30, I think, for each disc, and they've done tons and tons of wood, taken loads of the old stuff off. And you see lots of dowel holes and that, which I've got enough timber spare that I could probably create my own little dowels and just tap them in and saw them off just before come to do the treatment. And that would be, it's an either or, really. It doesn't really matter ultimately, does it? If there's a few holes in that, in the old dowel holes left in the timbers. But it's quite interesting to see the makeup of how they've done the frame back in the day, back in the late 19th century, when I believe this house was constructed. So lovely, really lovely. Very, very pleased with it. And not a vast amount of damage done by the woodworm and stuff. But if there are any woodworms still lurking, they're about to get their comeuppance. So the next job, once the final bit of timbers have been ground off or sanded down, the next job will be to utilise a form of treatment which you use with a sprayer. And apparently you do 2 coats. So you do 1 coat, let it dry, and then you give a 2nd coat. So, and the stuff I've chosen is just about to come on screen now. And it seems to be a reputable company that does this stuff. It's been doing it for donkey's years. And this is the stuff I will be using. Probably 3 or 4 of these I'm going to need. I'm not entirely sure whether you need to really absolutely saturate the wood or how it works, but obviously instructions will be on the rear of this. Or if anybody's done it, they can possibly just drop me a line and say this is the best way of doing it. So I haven't treated woodworm before. It was kind of a thing that was a thing of the past back in the UK. I remember the first house I bought in the UK in 1986. It had a woodworm report on it there. And the second house I bought didn't have anything at all. So I think by the end of the 80s, it's sort of been forgotten about. So anyway, and then we were using linseed oil, huile de lin, the French call it. And again, this will be used with a sprayer, and it will be a mix, a 50-50 mix, I believe, with thinners to help impregnate the wood and keep it looking, hopefully bring the colour out and keep it looking good for years to come. So that's it for that. A little bit of gossip we've had today. It's all very interested in the town. If there's anything to know, Roger will let me know. Hope you enjoyed this short video. Thanks ever so much for your continued support and all your kind words of support. And I'll catch you on the very next video.